Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
It's time for climate control mechanical services. I don't know that Brandon's going to be able to control the climate outside, but he certainly can control the climate indoors. That's what he does for a living. He does it on a professional level for both homeowners and businesses, and he's been educating us about what he does for quite a while now. If you have a question for Brandon, you just want to join the conversation, you're welcome to call. The phone number here is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622-622 WOCA. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning.
How far away did you have to drive?
Not too far.
No?
I live fairly close to the shop, but it's always on the way home, my last call where I got to drive from. We work all over the place.
My
so
goodness.
I could be in Wearsdale or Summerfield or Dunellen, all over. But today is pretty much a washout. It's very hard to work in the rain. Everything's outside.
Right.
And it's not so much us, it's our tools. I unfortunately had some tools break down, some digital meters and digital gauges I had last week, some very expensive tools.
Oh, wow.
Luckily, I took them apart and dried them out, and they're okay, but that's the biggest thing is our tools. We have definitely a lot of money invested in tools.
I thought of you guys this morning, and not because of the storm, but because on Facebook somebody posted, "Oh, great, my air conditioner went out. It is so muggy in my house." And I thought about you guys right away. I mean, it's amazing how when an air conditioner goes out, it's like everything just collapsed. You know, we're so used to it being the way we like it inside of our homes.
Certainly, and since Monday, I think the humidity has gone up probably 20 or 30%. It's been
really
80% humidity in the morning, and it drops throughout the day, but the heat rises. But yeah, the humidity, that's what makes it so sticky, and you feel like you have a film on you, and that's what's horrible to sleep in. I mean, the heat is horrible, but the humidity is just nasty. Everything in your home can get wet, and even long-term humidity with the air conditioning breaking down. We've talked about that, about mold issues.
Yeah.
I've seen entire wood floors ruined, or drywall that's so wet that you can literally poke a pencil through. So it is very important to have the climate controlled in your home when you're there and even when you're not.
That's not good. Wow. When it dries, is it back to its the same integrity, or is it now needing to be replaced?
I would imagine so, yeah. It goes pretty much back to its same integrity, but unfortunately with like wood floors, I've seen them where it's raw wood and it's just waxed, and it absorbs that humidity and it will buckle the wood floor. Wood flooring that warps with water, and then when it dries, it's never the same, so it will shrink. And I've seen some very expensive wood floors ruined because the air conditioning broke down, or ceilings a lot. Air conditioning breaks down and ices up, or a simple drain line gets plugged up, and the whole entire ceiling, water fills up, or water on the floor. That's where we talked about drain switches, where we need to make sure the system shuts down if the drain line does back up.
Wow. Well, so many things to think about. Now, does the rain, like we're experiencing right now, heavy rain, the wind is causing some of it to move horizontal. I haven't seen it yet today, but later on it probably will. Does that ever, because of the fact that it could blow into something, does that ever cause problems?
If it really... Because your outdoor unit is built for outdoors, it gets rained on a lot. It's really the lightning factor and power surges that might take out a lot of parts, whether indoor or outdoor. If the rain does get really, really bad and goes sideways and gets up into the control box, yeah, you can have problems. A lot of the biggest thing is wind, too. We have to make sure our units, even by code, are strapped down. But a big enough hurricane comes, and the least of your worries are going to be your condenser flying away, because you could possibly lose your entire home.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I've seen condensers fly away and land in canals and bays down south where I'm from, and it's pretty wild, the power of the wind and the storms. Mother Nature is nothing to mess with. I've seen firsthand what hurricanes can do.
Now, did you find them? I mean, were you able, and could you fix them once you found them?
No. Most of the time. Well, the one the guy didn't even know about. We went to his house and we said, well, your air conditioning's not working because your outdoor unit's not there. And we had determined that it flew into his bay behind his house and became a saltwater anchor, basically. There is no fixing a unit after that. It ripped the copper line set completely apart, so the whole thing was filled with salt water. By the time they do it with what's called pickling the motors. When they do it with engines, marine motors that get sunk and salt water gets in them, they have to fix them. But with something like that, and if it doesn't go into the water, it tumbles and bangs. And I've seen hurricanes literally pick them up and throw them like a tornado would.
Wow. Well, it could happen here too. I mean, but have you seen it happen here yet? We don't have any canals here, but
I haven't seen too many. I've been here for about 2 years now, and it certainly is possible. If a hurricane like Hurricane Andrew in '92 cuts across the coast, Florida is only about 100 miles wide. Hurricane Andrew was 210 miles across. That was one of the biggest storms in history. Yeah. So when it cut across the state, it was both in the Atlantic and the Gulf at the same time. And Homestead was devastated. Where I'm from, Naples, there was a lot of damage, but we got very, very lucky. I've seen some major damage done by at Homestead, though. I drove through there about 2 weeks after the hurricane with my family going to the Keys, and just massive pine trees snapped like twigs.
Really?
Houses on top of each other. So.
Wow. I remember. I didn't go down there, but I remember the news items. Yeah.
I definitely do not hesitate. When they say to evacuate, get out. Because you do not want to be here in a hurricane. A lot of people that have never evacuated say, oh, it's a party, I get off work, let's all hang out and party, and we're not doing anything. All of them, when I come back to town and talk to them, they say, we'll never stay for another hurricane. Well,
you're talking about me. That's what happened to me. I always thought, well, it'd be cool to go through it, live through a hurricane. Then when I actually did, and I saw trees outside my window that were leaning over from the force. I mean, trees, not just little limbs, but like big trees, like these ones. They literally were leaning over. It's like, wow, how come they're not breaking?
Sure.
Well, some of them did. Some of them fell over and broke, but others were leaning over and went back after the storm was done. It's amazing how resilient they are.
Especially the palm trees, the coconut palms that we have down south. There's none up here, but I don't know what it is. They have a root ball that's only about this big around compared to the big Australian pines that have massive root systems.
Right.
And the Australian pines fall right over, but the palm trees, they might get stripped of all their palms and coconuts, but they still survive.
Wow.
I guess they've evolved over the years through going through heavy storms down in the Caribbean and any tropical areas. But I've seen my dad just through Wilma. He had a piece of plastic siding go probably 1.5 inches into a solid tree. And this simple plastic siding that wouldn't even cut you, it's vinyl.
Right.
The wind actually shot it right into a tree, and it is now stuck there. So
permanently.
It's pretty wild. He actually left it there. He could pulled it out, but I think he actually left it there just as a reminder.
Just to see what it would do.
Yeah, because him and my mother stayed during Wilma, and that was a pretty scary experience, I guess. He was in an interior room.
When was Wilma?
Wilma was in 2006, I think.
Okay.
That was the year that we were just having hurricanes back to back to back. And it was like Wilma, Katrina was around that time. What, 2005, I think? 2004? There's so many storms, the devastating ones.
I think 2005, yeah.
You tend to remember the ones that affected you the most, too. Well, it's unfortunate, but...
I think the ones that affected this area were 2004.
Okay.
And that was Francis.
Yes.
And then 3 others, and I can't remember the others, but I remember Francis because there was a group of guys in Key West that were running around with no pants on, with T-shirts that said, we're pantsless for Francis. And it was a funny news story.
Oh, God.
But it helped me remember the name of the hurricane.
I bet it did.
Yeah. All right, let's go. I don't know what we're talking about today. All right, let's go to the phone. We're supposed to be talking about air conditioners, etc. Good morning. You're on there with Brandon Wood.
Okay, you guys, back to business.
Good morning.
With the new automated thermostats, is that just a situation where you come in the house, take the old one off, and put it on, or do you have to adjust the equipment, the air conditioning unit itself?
Most of the time, thermostats, pretty much any thermostat. Are you speaking of automated, meaning connected to your Wi-Fi network, or just...
No, not that extravagant, but just that it can turn on and off, by itself, kind of work on its own.
Oh yeah, where it has a programmable schedule.
Exactly.
No, that's a real easy install. We don't have to mess with the equipment at all.
Yeah.
Any tech can certainly install thermostats. That's a real easy thing to do.
Are they pricey?
They can get pricey depending on what model you buy. I wouldn't recommend going to Walmart or Home Depot. They do sell them there, but I wouldn't recommend doing it yourself. I've had a lot of phone calls from wives saying, my husband put in a thermostat and now my air conditioning doesn't work. So believe me, I've had guys that they end up costing them more money by trying to do it themselves. Plus our thermostats come with warranties. The thermostats we use are Honeywell's. They come with a 5-year, no questions asked warranty.
Yeah.
If it breaks, we come out and replace it.
Are there any of those units that are sensitive to humidity? My philosophy or thought on air conditioning is not so much temperature, but I always look at my humidity. If it gets over 60, I got my unit running, but sometimes it can be cool in the house but still be high. Would any of those units be feasible to set up for like a humidity rating?
Absolutely. There's Honeywell makes a stat. It's called the 8000 model with dehumidification. And you can actually control the system based on humidity and temperature at the same time.
Very good.
It will actually bring, even let's say your system is set to 75 degrees, but it's 73 degrees in your house.
Okay.
So the air conditioning would not normally come on.
Yeah.
But if it's 60% humidity and your thermostat's set to 40% humidity, it will come on just to bring that humidity down up to 3 degrees below what you have it set at.
Yeah, very good.
So,
living in Florida, humidity is temperature is bad enough, but humidity is really what gets you down. I mean, I can say you're comfortable in 80, 82 degree temperature if the humidity is like 35, 40%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but okay. So would it be a deal where now when I call you guys, you'd like to come out to the house first and look around before you do something, or just say I want one of these? Huh?
Definitely. I carry all the stats that I just spoke of. I stock on my truck,
good.
We can go through together what the best options for you are. Whether you would want, say, a Wi-Fi one, they've got the new where you can get on a smartphone or a computer, or if you go up north for the summer. So many different options and questions I would talk to you about. That way we get the correct thermostat for you.
Yeah. Are there any dangers of those being destroyed during an electrical hit, lightning hit?
Sometimes, yes. I don't normally see thermostats. I see more of the PC boards inside of the units.
Yeah.
For some reason, the thermostats, because there's no high voltage connected to them, it's all low voltage.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it can't happen, but it certainly has before. And like I said, the thermostats we carry have 5-year warranties. Even if they get struck by lightning, we just trade it in. I did one just yesterday. I took it back to my supplier.
Yeah.
They gave me a brand new stat, and I always stock them on my truck. So
yeah, very good. Okay, well, thanks a lot.
No problem.
Yeah, you bet.
Give us a call and we'll help you out.
Okay, you bet. Bye.
Yeah, and ultimately that is the solution to whatever issue you're going through is to call up and have somebody show up at your house. Do you ever have a need to put in a temporary thermostat, like while you're waiting for the one that they really want, the customer wants?
I've seen pretty much only in new construction. I have seen them in really, really big, like multi-million-dollar homes. They will hook up before the air conditioning is ready to go in, or before they actually set the outdoor units. They actually box in a window with return and supply air in one of the rooms of the house or multiple rooms, and put package units on the ground with a temporary thermostat in the house, because painters cannot paint in this humidity. Wood flooring guys cannot lay wood floor in this humidity.
Good point, yeah.
So it's almost required. So literally, while the house is still under construction, it has some sort of heating and cooling system.
Oh, wow.
Mostly cooling. With the low construction right now and the market, we don't do a lot of new construction. We are certainly capable of it. That's really the only time I see a thermostat, unless somebody wanted to try one if they were a really good customer of mine, or they called up and said, listen, I just want to try this thermostat, I would go there and install it for them and let them play with it a little bit. As long as they didn't keep it for more than 24 hours, I'm sure I could work something out.
Well, and then maybe this is just a dumb or superficial question, but as far as the actual controlling of the temperature of the air, the primary reason for a thermostat, do you get what you pay for? Does price actually matter? Or is the higher price ones really just the ones with the little extra...
More bells and whistles.
Yeah, that's kind of stuff.
Kind of like automobiles, you know. Cadillacs have more bells and whistles than a standard Ford. There's, like, this gentleman wants one that controls humidity. That's a more expensive thermostat. It's a touch screen. It's got scheduling where you can actually program the thermostat. They have the model where it's actually Wi-Fi and you can look on your phone. They have capabilities like outdoor temperature sensors where you can see the outdoor temp outside. They have indoor temperature sensors where you can put, say, 3 or 4 temperature sensors throughout your house. And rather than that thermostat right there taking the temperature, it takes all 3 or 4 temperatures or just 1 or 2 and does an average.
Oh, wow.
And that's what it displays. And I've done that before, and it works really well on a house that's maybe not, we can't really do anything with the ductwork, but we need more of a balanced temperature, or the thermostat's located in a bad spot, and it's never impossible to move a stat. It's just a matter of how much do you want to go through to move it. So sometimes it's easier to add sensors, but certainly the more you definitely get what you pay for. These stats at Walmart and Home Depot, you can buy one for less than $50, and I see them break. I had a customer that it was bad right out of the box. And our thermostats are certainly more expensive, but you definitely get what you pay for.
And is part of what you like, for example, if you can control the dehumidifier with separately from the air conditioner, like in the one you just talked about, I would guess, just based on what we've learned from you, is that the more expensive thermostat that allows you to do that, while being more expensive, will actually save you money in the long run.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. And dehumidification really works well when you have a 2-speed compressor, because when it's dehumidifying, it just runs in low speed. Whereas a single-speed system wouldn't necessarily save you money. It'll save you money in the summertime when, say, you're not home, and it'll run off. You set your humidity to 68%. That way, no mold, nothing will grow. Doesn't matter what the temperature is in the house, as long as that humidity stays below 68%. So they do have separate humidistats that you can install, like above or below the thermostat. But definitely the most aesthetic way to go and easiest way to go is get an all-in-one humidity and temperature stat.
What is your thinking on the procedure when you're leaving the house, and maybe for the day, maybe it's just a short period of time? Do you keep it set at 82, 83, and then lower it when you get home, or do you turn it off totally? What do you do?
It all depends on if I remember to raise it up.
But I mean, what's the best advice? And why do we have different advice? Is it to save money? Is it to...
The best advice I can give somebody is if you don't want it at a constant temperature and you go to work at the same time and get home at the same time every day, pretty much the concrete advice that I would give anybody is don't shut the system off completely, because it will cost you more money, because all that humidity comes back into the home. When you get home at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, it takes hours to pull that humidity out, and you're basically wasting what you saved throughout the day. So I would recommend setting it to like 80, just so, especially in the really hot summer months and really humid times, where once the humidity is out of the air, most balanced systems cool the house down or space pretty fast.
The comfort level is each individual has their own idea of what's comfortable.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing I would tell customers, is to not shut it completely off. But it's all up to your personal preference on what temperature you want to set at. Now, if you set it to 85 during the day, that's basically like shutting it off, unless you have a humidity thermostat.
And looks like you have a phone call. Brandon Wood is your host. Good morning. You're on the air with Brandon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's the perfect setting for the air conditioner to run? Because I want to find out, because I know I've been doing it constantly. I don't want to do that.
Okay. So are you having problems with it running constantly, or you just want like a temperature where it won't run constantly?
No, it's running. I just want to know what the perfect setting is, because I don't want to touch it.
Okay. Usually a good setting is around 76 degrees. You can set it.
76?
Yeah, it's really whatever you're comfortable at. If you like it at 76 or 78 or possibly lower, but I would set it at probably 76 or 77 degrees and just leave it right there, and you should be fine throughout the summer.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We've got about a couple more minutes left if you want to call in. Do you know what I always do? I always will, and I really only do this at my mom's house because I go there once a week, and I don't want the air conditioner off. So what I'll do is I'll look at what temperature is it in the house right now, you know, and I'll just push it up until it goes off, like one setting. Mm-hmm. And once it's off, I figure, well, now if it gets hotter than that, it'll come on. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and you know what it normally is? Like 86. That's normally too hot for you?
Yeah.
Really?
For me.
But there's nobody there. It's an empty house.
Oh, well, that's okay then.
Yeah, and I just want it to. I just don't want it to get hotter than that while there's nobody there. You know what I mean?
Sounds like you'd be a good candidate for humidity thermostat. There we go. Got it out. That way you could set the humidity rather than the temperature. And like I said before, it would be, say, 85 or 90 degrees in the house, but as long as you kept that humidity down. And normally when you set the humidity to, say, 68 or 70%, it does bring the temperature down to around between 80 and 85.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned. I kind of left you out of my little story.
That's
a little
all right.
bit. Yeah, my mom and dad both passed away, so I've been trying to sell their house, and I've been going over there every week and just kind of, checking up on it, and so I make sure that when I'm there, like cutting the grass and stuff, I put the air on, real cool.
I bet.
So then when I go in, it's nice and comfortable.
Yeah.
But then when I leave, I usually raise it. And
how old is their system? Do you know?
It's very new.
Is it new?
It's very new. Yes,
that's good.
Like 2
That'll
years.
help with the sale.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Air conditioning helps a lot with sales.
And the real estate lady was it was in the public record. I guess that's.
Oh yeah.
You have to have a license or something.
Well, when it's permitted, it goes into the city of Ocala, and you go to property appraisers, and I can look up any address, and it'll show me the square footage, the type of system that's in there now. It may not show the brand and warranty, but it will tell me the age of it.
And that's exactly what happened. This is actually in Beverly Hills, but the same rules must apply over there because she knew. And in fact, had she asked me how old was it, all I could say was it's new. I didn't really know the exact date, but she had it.
Yeah.
She had it in writing. So.
And the best thing to do, I would recommend to anybody out there selling their home, if you are a potential buyer, hire an air conditioning company to inspect the AC. I know inspection companies that come out and inspect the entire house. They basically just turn on and turn off the AC. There can be other problems that they might not see that we'll see.
Really?
Compressors being weak, a leak in the system. It could be extremely low on refrigerant, yet still cool. And I had a problem with that. Lady was in her house a month, and it was bone dry of refrigerant. And she had a major leak in the system.
Oh, not good.
Something we could have found. And unfortunately, there are sellers out there that fix the AC just good enough to sell the house. And that's it. And it is illegal to not disclose any information you have on your equipment.
Yeah, right. Brandon, the time always goes too fast. What's your phone number?
291-0185.
Okay, and call us if you need that repeated. Be careful out there, Brandon. Stay safe, stay dry. And
I'm going to try.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to a retirement home after this.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I'd imagine that's not a fun place to be with no AC.
Oh, wow. Is it broken? Where are you going?
It's
man.
icing up.
Well, they're waiting for you. I know that.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I've got another tech out there now.
And that must be what I say. I saw you on the phone outside for a while.
Oh, yeah. It's always between personal and business. I'm always on one phone or the other.
Brandon, thank you for what you do and for coming in here to help us understand
No problem.
We'll take a little break and we'll be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. White House officials aren't confirming reports that the National Security Agency has been collecting phone records of millions of Verizon customers, but they are defending the government's right to collect data, saying it's necessary to prevent terrorism. A day after refusing a government request to recall its Grand Cherokees and Liberties, Chrysler is recalling 3 other Jeep models, the Compass, Patriot, and Wrangler, for possible airbag and fuel leak issues made between 2010 and 2013.